After a thrilling ride last night, we're set for Game 2 tonight of a 3-game series from Wrigley Field as the Chicago Cubs host the Colorado Rockies right here on Comcast Sportsnet. Great to have you with us. Hot night here at the ballpark. Jim DeShays and Len Casper. And it was a night of comebacks in Game 1.
Yeah, a crazy game. A game that would have been, or was shaping up to be perhaps the worst loss of the year. And it turns out to be the best win of the year. Cubs down 4 early. De La Rosa, the starter for the Rockies, was perfect through 3, but a 6-run uprising. The Cubs take the lead. Things are looking good for the home club. And then the Rockies come back to take the lead. Carlos Gonzalez has now had 3 multi-home run games in his last 4 ball games, and then Chris Bryant delivering the walk-off game winner on a 1-0 breaking ball from John Axford.
So 9-8 the final. The Cubs scored 8 runs total in that 3-game sweep against the Phillies. Hopefully that trend with the offense will continue tonight with the 9 runs last night. So in the middle of the ninth, it was odd. Troy Tulowitzki was taken out of the game, and now we know why. He got traded to Toronto.
Yeah, a big deal, obviously, for the Colorado Rockies. They shed a lot of payroll. They've added some very talented young arms from the Toronto Blue Jay organization. Jose Reyes not in uniform here tonight. We expect him here tomorrow. Obviously a dynamic player when healthy. And the Blue Jays, how much offense do they need? But they had Tulowitzki and LaTroy Hawkins also included in that deal.
And ironically enough, a career .299 hitter finished his career as a Rocky with the longest offer of his career at 0 for 20. Go figure, right? That's baseball. Well, 9-8 the final last night. Johan Flande, Dallas Beeler on the mound tonight. Game 2 is next.
Today. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Illinois. Through it all. AT&T Uverse. Find out what's possible with AT&T. Call 1-800-PIC-ATT. Mobilizing your world. Ford. Check out America's freshest lineup at your local Ford store or at localfordstores.com. And by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com.
Beautiful shots of downtown Chicago, and now we bring you to the north side of the city. Beautiful Wrigley Field. Cubs hosting the Rockies tonight, tomorrow afternoon, and then off to the road. 4 in Milwaukee over the weekend, and then 3 at Pittsburgh. So right-hander Dallas Beeler getting set to work against this Rockies Southwest starting lineup, missing a pretty big piece, as we mentioned in the open, Troy Tulowitzki. Now with the Toronto Blue Jays, he's expected to be with them tomorrow, and Jose Reyes with the Rockies tomorrow as well. Blackman, LeMahieu, Gonzalez, Arenado, Dickerson, Paulson in the middle. Nick Hundley gets a start back at the plate. Daniel Descalzo filling in tonight. He's the interim shortstop. And Flande, the pitcher, batting ninth.
And here are the Cubs defensively this evening. Denorfia, Fowler, Soler patrol the outfield. Bryant Castro on the left side of the infield. Addison Russell made just a sparkling play last night up the middle. He is joined by Anthony Rizzo on the right side of the infield. Kyle Schwarber behind the plate. In Dallas, Beeler will be making his 5th major league start. He made 2 last year. This is his 3rd this year. Last time, 6 days ago against the Reds, he only lasted 2 innings. So looking to bounce back here as he tries to put his best foot forward, try to claim this 5th starter spot.
So he was recalled today. Right-hander Yoervis Medina is option to AAA Iowa. You mentioned his 4th start as we check out the umpiring crew. Gabe Morales, Mike Michalensky, Brian Gorman, the crew chief, and Mark Carlson is a 3rd. And away we go on a called strike. And Charlie Blackmon.
6 left-handed hitters in the Rocky lineup tonight, so Dallas is going to have his anti-left-hander stuff going.
Swing and a miss.
Sinkers, cutters, splitter, and a curveball for Beeler. Oh,
the outside corner, 1-2.
Good try, just barely off that outside edge.
Now it's even 2-2. One on the way. Sinker is hit in the air, and that'll split the gap. Blackmon on his way to second. He's going to stop there with a leadoff double. He came in hitting .389 his last 18 games, so he stays hot.
A relatively, well, not relatively, a very inexperienced pitcher on the mound, an inexperienced catcher behind the plate. And Blackmon drives that two-seamer into the alley in left center. Beeler not a hard thrower. His fastball right around 88, 89 miles an hour. So he's got to be very precise with that offering, and he can't afford to pump one after another to the same side of the plate. He's got to make sure he comes in. He's got to throw some off-speed pitches early.
Former Cub DJ LeMahieu. So 4 career starts. This is number 5 for Beeler. In 3 of his first 4 career starts, it was part of a doubleheader. He was the 26th man. So this is the second time he's been an actual part of the 25-man roster. The 0-1. Line right field, and this is going to get to the barrier, and the Rockies will grab an early lead. Blackmon scores. LeMahieu's got a double, and he also owns an 18-game hitting streak. That's his 4th hit of the series. 1-0.
Yeah. Aggressiveness can be an overrated thing in sports, and especially for a pitcher who doesn't have, plus stuff. And it may be just Dallas just not locked in yet with his release point, but he's going to have to get a little stingier here. Start working that ball on the corners and down around the knees.
Oh, and by the way, the hottest hitter, at least in the solar system, if not the entire galaxy, Carlos Gonzalez. 4 for 5, 2 homers, 4 knocked in last night. This comes off a 2-homer performance on Sunday. He hit 2 on Friday.
That's a 6 in his last 18 plate appearances. That's the 3rd time he's hit 2 in a game in this ballpark.
He's got 7 homers his last 5 games and 10 in his last 15. And it's 2-0 on him. Make it 3-0, and you have to think he'll get the green light here. Lowe's never stop improving. Can't get much better than that, can you?
No, they've got a number of hot hitters. You mentioned the streak by LeMahieu. but nobody hotter than Cargo.
Ball 4.
The irony is, the one time they got him out last night, he tried to push a bunt to the third base side because of the shift and bunted back to the mound.
Bring up Nolan Arenado, the third baseman, 0 for 4, a walk and an error in game 1. 25 homers, but has one here in July. That came on Sunday against the Reds. So already 1-0, and the Rockies 2 on, nobody out.
Triple plays in order.
I like how you think. Temperatures in the mid-80s as we get started. And another ball is going to find the wall. Here comes LeMahieu. Behind him is Gonzalez. That's a 2-run double for Nolan Arenado. He's got 76 knocked in on the season. 3-0.
Reminiscent of the Phillies, all the extra base hits they were banging out over the weekend. 3 doubles and a walk for the Rockies here. 4 batters into this ball game. The game last night, we likened it to a Coors Field game, and shaping up to be that kind of a game again here tonight.
Arenado came in 1 RBI behind the major league leader Paul Goldschmidt at 75, but he just leapfrogged him, at least for the moment. And it's Corey Dickerson. So with Tulowitzki not here, essentially Walt Weiss tonight just moving everybody up 1 in the lineup after LeMahieu. It'll be interesting to see where he plops Jose Reyes into their lineup. Reyes had been leading off with Toronto. Strike called on Dickerson.
I was thinking about Reyes earlier today in his prime. You take the player he was in his prime, put him in Coors Field, lashing the ball all over the place. Hit 340 with 20 triples.
Buehler just trying to find an out here. 4 batters in, 3 doubles, a walk, and a 3-0 deficit. Another ball hit hard on the ground into left, base hit. Arenado's going to stop at third. We talked about Corey Dickerson in April when we were in Denver. He is one of these rare guys who hits the ball on the ground a lot to the opposite side of the field.
Yeah. Very few guys in the game do that with any authority. Usually if you hit it on the ground the opposite way, it's right off the end of the bat, a little cue shot or something, but that's his stroke. He pounds the ball the other way on the line, on the ground. He's capable of going deep the other way.
So an early visit from the pitching coach Chris Bosio, and we gave you the numbers last night. I'll repeat them. At altitude in Denver, the Rockies have averaged 5.5 runs per game, 5.5 on the button. On the road, 3.5. But based on the way this series has started, they've carried that 17-run performance from Sunday at Coors Field right on into Wrigley Field. 8 runs last night, and they jumped all over Dallas Buehler here in the first inning tonight.
Three of the top 5 batting averages in the National League for the month of July are owned by Colorado Rockies.
Ben Paulson, the first baseman. Low, ball 1.
Gonzalez, LeMahieu, and Blackman all 387 or better this month. And to be sure that, Coors Field influencing those numbers.
That is a fair ball. Throw to second. Tag is late. Arenado held at third, so they'll be at second and third with 1 out. That was a strange play. That ball looked to be going foul. And fortunately for the Cubs, it kicked fair to Rizzo, and then they get Paulson.
Yeah, the angles we've looked at it looks foul, doesn't it? I think Anthony was reaching across the line, but no dispute from Walt Weiss. Nowhere for Arenado to go. He wouldn't be moving on contact with nobody out. He might be going here with one out.
Veteran catcher Nick Hundley. 7 homers on the year, all against righties. And the infield is back here.
Yeah, they can't afford to, they're just trying to get Beeler out of this inning, playing for the out, concede the run even though they're already down 3. Base hit will score 2.
One ball, one strike. No relation, but Nick Hundley playing a ball game tonight, the ballpark in which Randy and Todd Hundley played a lot of ball games as Chicago Cubs. Those guys are related, however. Backhanded play. Bryant will throw to first. Wondered if he had a play at the plate.
He absolutely did.
Well, you're playing the infield back, right? So the play goes to first, but it sure looked like he had a play on Arenado.
Because if you're a corner guy, you read the play, and he's got plenty of time to make a play home. And maybe he felt like he didn't have a good throwing angle, but he certainly had time.
So it's 4-0 on the RBI ground out by Hundley. We've got Dickerson at second, and Daniel Descalzo, who had probably the key at bat in the Rockies' 4-run ninth. It was a 10-pitch at bat against his former Cardinal teammate Jason Mott to lead off the inning. It resulted in Descalzo's first career pinch hit home run. Pitch number 10. That really set up the inning for the Rockies because it got them back to the top of their order. Two and one on Descalzo. So I guess a couple of guys who benefit from this Tulowitzki-Reyes trade are Daniel Descalzo and Ryan Goins. Two guys who get starts tonight for their respective teams due to travel of other guys who will take their spot.
Blue Jays are Philly, is it?
They're playing, no, they're at home against the Phillies, leading 2-0 in the top of the 5th. Former Cub Felix Doubront pitching for the Jays.
It's funny, isn't it? Everybody thought Toronto would go after a pitcher, and they may still do that. I don't think anybody saw the Tulowitzki deal coming.
He didn't. And we'll have some quotes from him a little later. Here's the pitcher, Flande, and a strike. Testing your theory again. Along top of the first. One and one.
And you got to feel like the Cubs are going to be able to do a little damage against Flande here tonight. And he's going to go to the mound with at least a 4-run lead.
Flande, by the way, will be looking for his first major league win. Same goes for Beeler. Beeler 0-2, Flande 0-7 in the big leagues.
And Dallas with 2 no decisions this year. The Cubs have won both of those games. He pitched pretty well in St. Louis, allowed 2 runs in 5+ innings.
Swing and a miss. They sent all 9 to the plate. 4 of them cross the plate, and the Cubs are coming up. Depot will donate $100 to Make-A-Wish, Illinois. Cubs Southwest starting lineup. They're going to need a bag load of runs tonight. They're already down 4-0 as Fowler, Schwarber, and Bryant will all bat here in the first inning. If anybody reaches, Anthony Rizzo, Jorge Soler is in right, Chris DeNorfie at the other corner spot, Starlin Castro at short batting seventh, Beeler the pitcher, and Addison Russell the second baseman.
Rockies defensively, Dickerson, Blackman, and multiple Gold Glove winner Carlos Gonzalez in right. Arenado, 2 years in the league. He's won 2 Gold Gloves already. Descalso, LeMahieu up the middle. Also a Gold Glove winner, LeMahieu last year. Ben Paulson is the first baseman, and the veteran Nick Hundley does the catching. Lexus pursuing perfection, starting pitcher for the Rockies. Johan Flande, 29 years of age, 7 appearances this year, all out of the pen. He was starting down in the minor leagues. He made 10 starts last year, including one exactly 1 year ago today here in this ballpark, and he pitched well in that game. He's a guy who throws a lot of sinkers. He has a slider and a changeup, and when he's right, we'll get a lot of ground ball outs. He started here at Wrigley last year, 6 2/3, and he allowed 2 runs.
Fowler, the switch batter, hitting right-handed, strike one. So 8th appearance, first start this season for Flande. He's pitching in Chad Bettis' spot in the rotation. Bettis on the DL. With an inflamed right elbow. Swing and a miss, strike 3.
His night starts a little better than Beeler's did. Like a changeup with some cutting action.
So catcher Kyle Schwarber been doing some pregame work in the outfield. We could see him out there at some point later this week. He played 1 inning and left, right? Correct, I should say. Earlier on the homestand. Outside ball 1. So you mentioned a couple of losing efforts for Flande as a starter against the Cubs. Last July 28th, he started here, went into the 7th, gave up the 2 runs. You referenced that, and then came back 3 days later and recorded 5 outs in relief. Something you rarely see these days.
He had a 5 2/3 innings relief appearance earlier this month against the Angels.
He should play the spinners, a rubber band man, when he comes in. 3-1.
I just heard that on the radio the other day.
It's a good song.
Yeah, it's a toe tap. Guaranteed to blow your mind.
Ball 4, he walked him. Comes last night's 9th inning hero, Chris Bryant.
He has not done a lot of damage in the month of July. Not hitting for much of an average, but he is hitting for a little bit of power, some extra base hits, but none bigger than that one. He fairly floated around those bases.
First career game-ending hit, Cubs' first game-ending homer while trailing since the famous Aramis Ramirez blast in Lou Pinella's first season, 2007 against Milwaukee. 23 years old, the second youngest Cub ever to hit a come-from-behind game-ending homer. Ad Gumbert, good old Ad Gumbert, was the youngest. 21 years old, hit a game-ending 3-run shot to beat Indianapolis in 1889.
That was a good club.
Yeah, they called Addy old Gumball. Gumball Gumbert. It's low.
One day you can see with that quick delivery would be very difficult to run on, and Brandon Hyde will let the umpire down there know that, hey, make sure he stops. Had to lobby a little bit. You said Machlinski's down there. I had Gibson there. They must have rotated him out, huh? Lineup card says Trip Gibson. Not for nothing. Well, so this is how it kind of unraveled on the Rockies last night. They had a 4-0 lead. De La Rosa had gotten up 9 up, 9 down, was in complete control of the game, and then a couple of walks to start the Cub fourth, and they just rolled from there. I'm sure the 1-out walk to Schwarber, the 3-1 count to Bryant has got Walt Weiss's attention.
Couple of walks here. Bringing up Anthony Rizzo.
The long delay theory's starting to work its magic here. Yeah.
Yep. As Rizzo started to dig in, Flande stepped off. Cubs down 4. Just getting started, though. Looking at Anthony's game logs, he comes in with an .894 on base plus slugging, good for 8th in the National League. Go back to April 24th. He had lifted his OPS to 1,002, and it had been at least 900 up until Sunday. Maintaining his numbers, not an easy task, requires a ton of consistency, and he's been slumping a bit lately. But still in good shape in the overall.
Yeah, and you know, he's such a good hitter. You know, there's a surge coming here. Kids, just don't panic. Realize it's the rhythms of the baseball season. Run hot and cold. Two things you see from a struggling hitter: swings and misses out of the zone, and more conversations with umpires. Because when he's locked in, even if it's a borderline call against him, he usually doesn't have a whole lot to say.
1-2, the kick and the pitch. Strike 3 called. And he does not argue that one.
Although he would have had a point, according to our Menards pitch track. This one sliding off the outside corner.
A couple of free passes sandwiched between 2 strikeouts here in the first inning. And it's Jorge Soler, a hit, an RBI, and a run in the opener. Strike called, 0-1. Nothing in 2. Expect Flande to go too deep into this game based on pitch counts. He's at 20 right now. fired the other way. Schwarber to third. He'll be sent by Gary Jones. He'll score, and the Cubs are on the board. 4-1. Bryant advancing to third. There's Jorge Soler with an RBI single.
Soler had an RBI single in the Cubs' 6-run inning in the ball game last night. The fastball out away from him. This is a little changeup turned over. It's interesting because he throws a sinker 88 to 91. He throws his changeup out. It's kind of a power changeup. He's a bit of an oxymoron, but he throws his changeup pretty hard for a guy who's not a real hard thrower. So here we are in the first. Both pitching coaches have already been out to the mound. And Travis Wood is going to start to crank it up. Well, Madden showing a willingness to piece this one together with his bullpen if he's got a chance to put a big number on the board here.
The pitcher's spot comes up a little sooner in the Cubs lineup. Northia, Castro, and then Beeler.
And it may just be a bluff. Try to get Castro pitched to. But it might not be. Dallas is starting Cincinnati when Joe pinch hit Chris Bryant in the 3rd inning.
Down by Hundley. And there's Holding. Ground to the shortstop Descalzo. He'll fire to first. And the inning is over, but the Cubs do get one and trail 4-1 after an inning. Secure your tickets for a fun second half here at Wrigley Field. Tickets are still available for tomorrow's series finale with the Rockies. To purchase tickets, visit Cubs.com. You could definitely say it was a rocky first inning. Visitors put up 4 on Dallas Beeler. Cubs got 1 with the left-hander Flande. Dallas Beeler's dad
See him taking a deep breath. High anxiety for the loved ones.
Stressed out right now. Breaking ball missing on Charlie Blackmon, who doubled to start the ball game.
That breaking ball was missing from his repertoire in the first. Nice to see him break it out here.
Popped up behind third, and it'll be the shortstop Castro to make the catch.
And Travis Wood continues to throw down in the pen. Kind of leads you to believe it's going to be 2 and out for Dallas, regardless of how this inning goes. We'll see how it plays out.
I could give you the gory details on all the transactions the Rockies made today. But I guess the highlights. As LeMahieu waits on a 1-0 and is in there for a strike. So the Reyes-Tulowitzki deal, that's the headliner. Neither guy in the respective lineup tonight. The Rockies optioned first baseman Wilin Rosario to AAA. That's interesting. They made a couple of bullpen moves. Right-hander Justin Miller, lefty Aaron Laffey, infielder Christian Adames also here. So they are at 25 for tonight, and then Reyes will join them tomorrow. LaTroy Hawkins also in that deal, going to the Blue Jays in what will be his final major league campaign. So he's hoping he can be on a playoff team to finish it off.
And quite a run for LaTroy Hawkins. So probably one day in the big leagues for Adames. He'll likely be the guy sent out when Reyes shows up.
There's some hard-throwing right-handers in the deal. Miguel Castro, Jeff Hoffman, Jesus Tinoco coming from Toronto. And LeMahieu locked in. Ball 4. Third walk already.
Dallas not even going to make it through the second.
For Beeler. So Ben Zobrist, and we'll get the update on the movement today from Patrick Mooney a little bit later. Zobrist to the Royals. Papelbon will close for the Nationals, and it's going to be a short night for Dallas Beeler. And it's time now for the Weber Sauces and Seasonings. Call to the pen. Why grill with anything else? And a very early call to left-hander Travis Wood.
Travis on for the 30th time. 5 up, 3 down, 4.5 the ERA. Last worked Sunday, and it did not go well. Inning in the 30, allowed 3 hits, 2 runs.
Gonzalez walked and scored in the first. With Mayhew on, one out here in the Rockies' second. Inside ball one. Strike called, 1-1. Patrick Saunders in the Denver Post with quotes from Troy Tulowitzki on the trade. Quote, I felt like I got blindsided a bit. I thought I was in the loop in the conversation. Based on some reports that I have read, it sounded like the first he had heard of it at all was when his manager, Walt Weiss, grabbed him before the bottom of the ninth in the dugout. That'll go 4-6. Not 4-6-3.
Potential double play ball last night. Starlin never got the handle on the throw, made an errant throw. And this one looked to be a very routine double play ball. Gets out to Russell in a hurry. Good flip, chest high to Castro. So everything looks just good until this point. And then on the exchange, case of Butterfingers.
Two-run double, Arenado in the opening inning.
No error charge because you can't, quote unquote, assume a double play, but it should have been a double play. Boy, you don't want to give this lineup the way they're swinging at extra chances.
A lot of people wondered why would Daniel Descalso replace Troy Tulowitzki for defense? Well, his manager said, come with me into the tunnel here. I got some news for you. That was it.
Yeah, that the player would not be in the loop or be, unaware of the trade talks is pretty much standard operating procedure. But you said you'd read some stuff where Tulo had kind of an agreement with the club.
Yeah, it sounded like essentially the understanding between the owner, and this is Jeff Passan, Yahoo Sports, writing today, agreement that if they were going to trade him, he was going to hear about it first. He did not have a no trade, but I do believe that it now kicks in now that he has been traded. Yes. One and two. I think the other thing, and look, in the big picture, this happens all the time. This is the first time Tulowitzki's been traded. I think once guys get traded once, John Lester alluded to this when he signed with the Cubs. The idea of even envisioning yourself in another uniform. That pops out of the mid of Schwarber and will allow Gonzalez to get to second. I think one of the reasons, it may have been reason number 9 on the list, that John Lester didn't re-sign with the Red Sox is because they traded him to Oakland and he realized, oh, there is life after my first team.
Yeah,
that's an eye opener.
Yeah, I think if you embrace the journey, it could be fun.
Pass ball charge to Schwarber. Meantime, 2-2 on Arenado.
So the Cubs a little sloppy here tonight. A lot of it starts with the pitching when you're having a hard time getting outs and taking a long time. It's tough to be sharp. It's not an excuse, but it happens. So a misplay by Bryant, throwing to first instead of home. Starlin mishandling the would-be double play ball. Now the pitch popping out of the mitt on Schwarber, allowing an extra base. No harm done.
So Wood comes in and gets out of the inning with no damage done. 4-1 Colorado early.
where the Cubs will kick off their 3-game set with the Brewers this Thursday at 7 right here on CSN.
All right.
No, I'm not eating a Twix bar. It may sound like that.
We got a couple things.
No, that's not true. Well, we got this nice goodie bag.
Yes, we did.
From
perusing.
A big Cub fan named Carolee Ferris. Included inside of it is a CD. Her son, Mark Ferris, called My Romance. And she also sent some candy and goodies.
We were digging in, and all of a sudden, hey, we're back.
Yeah, we're back.
Oh, we got a ball game.
We might need a little sustenance to get through this one here tonight.
Starlin Castro ended up with a 3-hit night last night. Scoring change today. Made his Monday line look like this: 3 out of 4. Go ahead 2-run single. 2 for 6 with a home run last year against Flande. We'd like to welcome all our viewers watching on RTC Communications in Rochester, Indiana tonight. Strike called. And Castro
trying to get Starlin to a little taller in the box, close up the stance a little bit. They did some early work yesterday. He hit the ball 2 or 3 times sharply to the left side of the infield in the ball game last night. And that's something he's rarely been doing this year. You know, if you watched a lot of Cubs baseball, normally when Starlin's hitting it hard, it's when he's staying on pitches and hitting it out towards right center. On the pull side, it's been a lot of lunging and rolling over and weak ground balls. So a very positive sign last night is he's able to hit the ball hard on the pull side.
Renato ended up backing up. He's got a strong throwing arm.
That's more typical of what we've seen from Starlin this year. So, you know, just baby steps. Not going to happen overnight.
Noah Syndergaard was perfect into the 7th. Will Venable, the Padres led off the inning with a single. It's 2-0 New York. Javier Baez activated off the DL, so he's back with the Iowa Cubs, and in his first at bat he hit a home run. They're in Nashville leading 8-0. The I Cubs.
He was on the brink of being called up when he got hurt. So I would imagine he's a man on a mission right now, trying to make up for lost time.
Check that as second at bat he homered. 1 for 2 tonight. Junior Lake's been hot. He hit a 2-run shot with Alt. 1 for 2 with 2 runs. And 1 to Travis Wood. Clayton Richard looking to start for Iowa tonight as he works into the 3rd with a big lead. So Travis Wood walks. 3 given up by Flande.
Yeah, that's just got to be driving Walt Boys nuts. Well, Russell, another guy who's been trying to tweak his approach a little bit. He's closed his stance some.
Ball 1 to Russell.
Hard to make changes mid-season, midstream, but when you're struggling the way these hitters, so many of these hitters have, and especially the younger guys, it makes sense to, at some point, modify things a little bit.
A slide step change up there, 1-1. Descalzo, LeMahieu, and they turn it. goes 6 to 4 to 3, and the Cubs finished in the second, trailing 4 to 1. Teammates for a night of fun and games at the first ever Never Quit night at the Metro. Fans can watch the excitement of the 3-up, 3-down event. Fun take on the famous Hollywood squares. Partake in live and silent auctions and enjoy dinner and cocktails. Net proceeds from the event will help raise awareness and money for pediatric cancer research. Tickets are on sale now. For more info, please visit CubsCharities.com. He's going to need some innings out of reliever Travis Wood tonight.
Situation like this, come in, hang in there as long as you can, maybe steal yourself a W if your team can come back and put some points on the board.
This is where the added benefit of him being able to swing the bat helps. But by another inning or two, because Joe's not worried that you can't get down a bunt and maybe even hit the ball out of the ballpark. Strikes on Dickerson. Paulson and Hundley next. A lot of lefties in their lineup. Against the starter, Beeler, who's right-handed, but now it's southpaw Travis Wood. Swing and a miss, strike 3.
And with all the left-handed thump they have in their lineup, I would not be surprised if Joe Madden or Chris Bosio went to Travis Wood earlier today and said, hey, be ready. We might make an early move to the bullpen if Dallas is scuffling with all the lefties they got. Might call on you to come in and try to neutralize it. And a couple strikeouts in a row now for Wood. Arenado to end the second, Dickerson to start the third.
No strike on Paulson. I'm assuming no relation to Pat Paulson.
Thinking about that. I'm going to assume no. I think I probably would have heard by now.
Line left center. It'll hold up for Dexter Fowler. 2 gone, and now Hundley. Happy baby.
Great looking baby.
Only swings and misses. Second round pick of the Padres, 2005. The University of Arizona. Padres, Orioles, Rockies. 8th year in the big leagues. He pops it up. This should do it. And it's Castro to end the Rockies' 3rd. 4-1 Colorado.
Four to 1. Cub fans, let's go. Come out and enjoy the new Budweiser bleachers. There's no experience quite like it. A combination of exciting Cubs baseball and our new bleacher experience will keep the Budweiser bleachers one of the hot spots for entertainment in Chicago all summer long. Visit Cubs.com/bleachers to buy tickets and learn more about the available spaces. All right.
Crowd here tonight. Yeah, hoping for another Cubs comeback. They came a long way, and they're hoping the Cubs can come a long way. Fowler, Schwarber, Bryant. Johan Flande again looking for his first major league win. Chat with former Cub Jeff Hewson, Rockies TV analyst. We brought this up before, but I think baseball would be best served revisiting a few statistics. The team error is the one that always comes up. There's Jeff with Drew Goodman over on Rockies TV. I think the 5-inning requirement for a starter to get a win should be removed. Fowler with a base hit. And I think one reason why is if you use a reliever to make a spot start, if you try to do some experiment like the Rockies did a few years ago, tandem starts, that is a complete detriment to doing anything unique with starting pitchers. If you can't go 5, nobody wants to do it.
Yeah, nobody wants that job. The only decision you can get is an out. So, or you could join kill the win campaign and just take it away altogether. And of course, that's not going to happen.
With 5-man rotations, some teams occasionally go to 6. I think, it's tougher to win 20 games in a season. A lot tougher to win 300 games. I think even if you remove the 5-inning requirement, you're probably not adding a ton of wins. I don't think it would fundamentally change the course of history.
And the way we evaluate pitchers now, we've gotten better about understanding what makes guys good, and wins aren't as important. So, it used to be some of those thresholds for Hall of Fame and Cy Young awards and things like that. The writers have gotten a lot smarter about that. Felix Hernandez won a Cy Young a couple years back with 13 wins.
Yeah. But doesn't it seem silly that a reliever can pick off a guy at first and get a win if he pitches in the right spot, but a starter has to get 15 outs? As we've got a balk on Flande. Ball made by Tripp Gibson over at first.
Flande certainly vulnerable here tonight. He's walked 3. I have good command of his pitches. Just a little buckle before he stepped off. It wasn't one smooth motion.
Schwarber with a big cut.
See, I'm not a big fan of that balk call, but I get it. When Kyle decides to turn it loose, he doesn't get cheated. In 1930, there was a fellow by the name of Ken Ash pitching for Cincinnati against the Cubs. And I think Charlie Grimm was the hitter. He threw one pitch, got a triple play, was removed for a pinch hitter, and got the W.
That is fortuitous.
That is taking advantage of your opportunity.
Balls, 2 strikes.
Well, and the counterpoint you've made in the past, and I kind of like, is that there should be minimum thresholds too. So just because a guy qualified under the old rules for a win, maybe he doesn't deserve it. You go out there and you give up 6 runs in 5 innings, but your team scores 10. Maybe there's a threshold. You know what? You didn't pitch good enough. You're not going to win.
Right.
Hang with him.
It should simply be Schwarber strikes out the most effective pitcher in a win.
You could even have a game where you didn't assign a W to anybody.
Nobody gets one.
Nobody.
Bryant now. Well, the non-double play, the one that wasn't turned earlier, that hurts the pitcher. There's no error. You don't end up with unearned runs. Those are the kinds of things we should be able to better account for in our box score. The pop up between the right fielder and center fielder, that is as routine as anything, and they're both staring at each other as it drops at their feet. It's a double.
Yeah.
No, it's got to be an error. Team error. Flande, long time in the minor leagues. Signed with the Phillies way back in 2004. High drive, deep center. Blackman is back. He's on the warning track, and he's got room. Bryant just got a bit too much underneath the ball. The wind is blowing out, so it did carry a little farther than it might normally. 2 outs, runner at third.
I'm surprised. I thought he got enough of it. He's certainly strong enough to hit a ball that high and still get it out of the ballpark. just not on this occasion.
Anthony made another visit to Lurie Children's Hospital this morning. And the ceremonial ribbon cutting of the Anthony Rizzo Family Foundation Hospitality Room. It's on the oncology floor at Lurie Children's. Visited with patients, signed some autographs, took photos, chatted with patients and their families. Brought gifts as well: teddy bears, Cubs hats, growth charts. Good stuff.
That's why he's the Cubs nominee for the Heart and Hustle Award. That plus his play on the field.
Yep, giving back to the community. And he calls home. You see him with his parents. Upper left photo. They are very proud parents too. And I know he's happy to do it, but I'll point it out. We're in a stretch of 17 in a row without an off day. He plays every day. Very easy for him to say, you know what, I'm going to sleep in.
Yep.
Nope.
That's why he's going to get a line drive base hit right here.
Will be well timed.
Rung up on a fastball just off the outside corner last time up. Maybe a cutter.
Flande thought he had him. 3-2 with Soler on deck. Be nice to get Fowler in from third here. You don't have to get it all back. We're only in the third inning. From El Sabo in the Dominican Republic, 6'2", 180. Pitching in his age 29 season. So 10 seasons in the minors before he debuted at this level. On the ground, Paulson will scoop to end the inning. Fowler stranded at third. We head to the fourth. It's 4-1 Rockies. Cubs insider Patrick Mooney has joined us in the booth. Well, it's heating up. Troy Tulowitzki traded for Jose Reyes. We'll see Reyes with the Rockies here tomorrow. Ben Zobrist traded, but he goes to Kansas City.
Yeah, and the Cubs definitely pursued Ben Zobrist. He's one of Joe Maddon's all-time favorite players, but ultimately, the Cubs hope to be in that same position the Kansas City Royals are, going for it, finding that missing piece to get to the World Series. But at this point, they don't have that urgency, and to be honest, they don't have the same, frontline pitching prospect that the Oakland A's wanted.
On the strike pitch to Descalzo, make it 0-2. Papelbon, I read he needed assurance, right, that he was going to close for the Nationals. David Murphy, and former Cub David DeJesus on the move as well. Wood has time.
Really out there like a Harlem Globetrotter playing that one. He finishes in very good fielding position. Just snares it, heel of the glove, spikes it into the ground.
Patrick, I guess if the Cubs don't make any moves, would that be a shocker? Mild surprise? Where do you handicap it at the moment?
I think so. I think people are probably going to be, I don't know if disappointed is the right word, but they're not going to, they were in on Papelbon too, they were in on Zobrist, and they're not going to be able to address all of their needs right now, and I think it's hard to look at where the rotation is at now and not make that fourth or fifth starter the priority. I mean, you can see what it does to the bullpen, playing from behind like this. I think it'll probably be a back-end type guy like Ian Kennedy or Dan Herron, someone along those lines. Tyson Ross is kind of the one guy that's out there with the Padres that could fit right now and long term, but everyone wants those guys.
What's the motivation for the Padres to move Tyson Ross? I kind of like him. He's young. He's not making a ton of money.
I think it's because no one really understood what exactly the Padres were doing during the offseason anyway. So if they blow it up again or they totally shift gears, I guess they're so unpredictable.
Yeah, and I get them blowing it up and moving some of their older veteran guys, try to get out from under some contracts. But Ross is a guy I think they would want to hang on to.
And the Cubs probably aren't going to blow him away. That's not really how they've built this thing or how they're looking at these next couple of years. But I guess you gotta check in.
0-1 the Blackmons, a strike, 0-2.
But Starlin's name has been out there, right? Associated with the Padres. And they've had a shortstop issue for a while now.
For a long time. Yeah, we've watched Starlin for years now. It's kind of weird seeing him like this, but it's hard to see why a team would go out, and get him. And that contract, when he signed it, it looked like a pretty good deal, and ultimately, it could be. But right now, I think it's harder to get a team to take that on. And then who do you kind of play up the middle, too? Until Javi gets back, I guess you move Madison over. But I think he's probably their best bet to improve this offense down the stretch.
Tommy La Stella made an appearance yesterday. At some point here, is going to be off on a rehab assignment. I know those obliques are tricky, but there's another guy who they really had high hopes for this year.
That's what Joe Maddon said. That's kind of where they're looking at it now. Sometimes the answers are from within. I think La Stella, that injury kind of came out when we were in Colorado. I think like the first road trip of the year, and that's how long he's been out. And it was funny yesterday seeing like 25 reporters descend upon his locker while Chris Bryant and John Lester are being totally ignored. They kind of looked at each other like, what's going on? But that's how big La Stella could be down the stretch. He does a lot of different things and has that on-base ability that the Cubs have talked about for a while.
Somebody could have gotten the big exclusive John Lester story, and they decided not to. We went with the pack.
So what is your program these days? Are you up all hours of the night checking Twitter and making phone calls? What's the life of a reporter as the trade deadline nears? Significantly different than your normal day-to-day existence?
Like some kind of weirdo just on Twitter all the time, just staring at my phone at all hours. It's probably too too close to reality most of the time. But no, just kind of checking in with people and following around, trying to figure out what other teams are doing and anticipating what Jed and Theo are doing. They've been pretty clear in what their intentions are here.
Make sure you follow Patrick Mooney, our Cubs insider, all season long here on Comcast Sportsnet. Brought to you by Nationwide agent Jeff Vukovich. Visit Jeff at jeffvuk.com. Nationwide is on your side. Reserve your place in line for history in the making. Join the season ticket holder waiting list. It's easy and free to register. For details, visit Cubs.com/waitlist. Good stuff from Patrick Mooney. Johan Flande spotted 4 in the very first inning. It's going 4-1. We'll face Jorge Soler, who knocked in the Cubs' lone tally in the bottom of the first. Swing and a miss. Oh, 2. Tomorrow afternoon, right-hander Eddie Butler and lefty John Lester to wrap up the season series.
Travis Wood has done a very nice job here coming in and quieting down the Rocky bats. Flande has shown himself to be vulnerable here tonight, but he's only allowed the 1 run. Rockies bullpen has the highest ERA in baseball.
Changeup tapped up along third. And Arenado let it roll foul past the bag.
There was a similar play in the ball game last night, a little chopper down the third base line that Chris Bryant came in on, and it's an easier play when you're deep like this. He was able to read it and then let it go because he knew it was foul. The ball that Chris had to deal with was 15-20 feet out in front of third base, and if you're in on that ball and let it go, it's a 2-base hit.
2-2. And laced fair to left. Leadoff two-base hit, Jorge Soler. 2 for 2.
Solid single to right, and now a double to left. Thigh high changeup. Those usually don't work. Be a good idea to cash this one in.
Murphy grounded out in the first. 2 hits, an RBI and a run in game 1. Strike.
Do not give yourself up here to advance the base runner if you're Chris Denorfia. You're getting down towards the bottom of the batting order. Perfect world. Try to hit it hard the other way. Try to drive the run in. And you're not able to do that. At least advance it. But you don't want to sacrifice your swing and try to guide the ball the other way.
Soler will make it to third as Denorfia grounds to short. Got a weird one going on in Texas. Rangers put up 5 in the first inning against Chris Capuano and company. He only recorded 2 outs. The Yankees have come back and put up 11 in the second.
ERA's taking a beating in that one.
I don't believe they have a home run either. No, they don't. Infield back, runner at third, 1 out. Castro takes ball 1.
Martin Perez, if he was your fantasy pick for tonight, you're going to have a good night. 7 hits, 8 earned runs in 1 inning of work. The other 3 charged to Wandy Rodriguez, 1 inning of relief work so far. Great chance for Castro. 2 balls, no strikes. Man on third, infield's back.
Jose Bautista is out of the Blue Jays game today. Potentially a right hamstring issue. That would not be good for a team just acquired Troy Tulowitzki. Oh, and by the way, the Rockies over the course of what would have been the Tulowitzki contract will ultimately save about $50 million. There was no cash involved in that deal. Jose Reyes has a couple of years left on the deal he signed with the Marlins. Then he got traded to Toronto, now to the Rockies. So 1 contract and 3 different teams for Jose Reyes. Called strike 3. Flande comes all the way back from 3-0. And that is a big strikeout. 2 outs.
Now we really need to make contact. And Starlin locked up by that high inside fastball.
It'll be the pitcher Travis Wood. He walked in the second. Runner at third, 2 gone. Strike called. Henry Mejia of the Mets It's a 162-game suspension. Another positive PED test after an 80-gamer earlier this season. Backhanded play, LeMahieu. And the Cubs cannot convert after the leadoff double by Soler. They're still down 4-1.
To 1. We're getting to see Kyle Schwarber for the third straight game behind the plate. And yes, David Ross will be back there tomorrow night with John Lester pitching. Took the opportunity to kind of talk to him about the things he's been saying to Kyle over the last weeks, maybe pieces of advice. And he said, really, this kid has such an advantage over me at that age because of what a great hitter he is. He basically, I told him, go into these at-bats with guys like Joey Votto, in this case, in this series, Cargo, and understand that you know what they're thinking in a certain count against a certain pitcher. Use that to your advantage, outplay them in this game that you both love. And he went on to say what he loves most, though, about his just disposition out there is that he can laugh at his own mistakes. He goes, you have to. At that age, you're certainly going to make plenty. So he says the fact that he watched him the other day, watching video, and he had dropped a ball, and he said, yeah, nice catch, Kyle. And he had to laugh at himself in that moment. And he said that will help him so much in the growth, guys, of what he's doing right now, learning the game behind the plate.
Kelly, thank you. We're going to need his bat tonight, too. Down 4-1. As DJ LeMahieu leads off, the All-Star. RBI double and a run in the first, a walk in the second. He's got the longest hitting streak currently in the majors at 18 and counting. And he finds the gap in right center. He might be thinking three. Around second he goes. And he's got a triple. DJ LeMahieu has just killed Cubs pitching this year.
Yeah, boy, he had a big series up in Denver and getting it done here in this series as well.
Second triple against the Cubs this year. Doing the quick math here. 14.
The fourth extra base hit of the ball game for the Rockies. His triple, three doubles back in the first.
Got 12 out of 18 against the Cubs this season. Swing, and did he miss it? Yeah, he did. He got a piece of it. Okay. Ball got out of Schwarber's mitt. Rockies wondered if Cargo had made any contact.
Yeah, just a little tick. And off the glove, off the knee. A little bit of everybody.
Went to the high one that time, 0-2.
Interesting point, Kelly, related there that David Ross made about Schwarber being an accomplished hitter, therefore being able to get into the heads of accomplished big league hitters, even though he's a very young guy. Have an understanding what they may be looking for in certain counts, what they're trying to do. Catching in the modern game is almost like being an NFL quarterback, because the playbook that a quarterback has to learn, the catcher has to be well read in the strengths and weaknesses of the opposing hitters, and obviously his guys on the mound. Trying to exploit Cargo's desire to drive in this run, see if he'll go out of the zone. And if he doesn't, so be it.
On the ground foul.
If the Cubs do not pull off a deal for a starting pitcher, they may have to contemplate Travis Wood back in that role. Joe loves him out of the bullpen. At some point, he might become a consideration for the rotation.
Swing and a miss. So he gets Gonzalez. His fifth strikeout.
Now loop in his swing, and when you do that, you're vulnerable to velocity up. Fastball out belt high gets it.
They will intentionally walk Arenado. Left-handed hitting Corey Dickerson on deck.
Whoop.
Ball four. Starter Beeler went just an inning and a third. 4 hits, 4 runs, 3 walks, 1 strikeout. It has already gone 3 innings. Just about the same amount of pitches.
We talked about Dickerson and his ability to hit the ball the other way. If you're playing for 2, so Castro's pitching towards the bag, that means Brian has to come off the line, try to take away the hole.
Fouled off the screen. AT&T U-verse multi-view. Trouble here for Wood. In the 5th, leadoff triple for LeMahieu. He did strike out Gonzalez. Intentional walk to Arenado. Now it's the left fielder Corey Dickerson.
Breakout year for Dickerson last year. Hit better than 300. Hit 24 home runs. Slowed by injury this season.
Wide for a ball. Yep, he's been on the DL twice. Left foot issues.
Plantar fasciitis, didn't he?
Yep. Charged by Rizzo, and the throw to first in time. He did not have a play on LeMahieu. Ball was not hit hard enough. So in essence, Dickerson benefits and drives in the run because he hit it softly, and it's 5-1.
Just a little rollover. Anthony takes a look at home, realizes he didn't have a play, and good job by Travis Wood staying with the play. Addison Russell was there to cover as well. The Cubs did not take advantage of their leadoff double. Rockies do cash in that leadoff triple.
Meantime, Arenado now in scoring position for the first baseman, Paulson. Justin Morneau on the DL. Paulson and Rosario getting a lot of time at first. Rosario just sent back to the minors. And the strike called. Two strikes to count. Here it comes outside. Good question on Twitter from Chad. Why does a catcher return to home plate on an intentional walk? Well, they have a catcher's box. You've got to stand in it until the pitch is delivered. That's why.
Oh, as opposed to just standing
you
out.
can't just stand out to the side to hold it back.
Yeah, there are those who have proposed trying to pick up the pace of play, not issuing the 4 balls, just go ahead like they do in some of the lower levels. In the amateur ball, just take your base. I'd be on board with that. Yeah, every once in a great while you see something funky happen in an intentional walk. Saw a minor league game end that way. The catcher went to shuffle out to receive the throw, and he caught a spike, tripped and went down. The ball went to the backstop, and the winning run scored.
There you go. So for
I've seen about 10 billion games,
why.
and that's the one. That's like the one time I've seen it be impactful. That guy is having a big time.
He struck him out to end the inning, but the Rockies add to their lead. It's now 5-1 in the 5th. suite located on the Nuveen Investments suite level. Watch the game with a former Cubs player. Listen to classic stories about life as a Cub. With a luxury food and beverage package and a unique gift for each guest, the Legends Suite is the most exclusive way to watch a Cubs game. For more information, visit Cubs.com/suites. (5-1) Rockies. Rough homestand here for the Cubs. They got swept by the Phillies. Had that big comeback in the ninth after the Rockies came back. And a thrilling 9-8 Cubs win last night, but find themselves down 5-1. And former Cub, in fact, he was a Cub this season, Gonzalez German is up in the Rockies bullpen.
Yeah, in case you were wondering, hey, whatever happened to Gonzalez German? There you go.
Three 3-0. Feels like Flande's been playing with fire, doesn't it?
He's breaking all the rules of pitching here. He's got a comfortable lead and he keeps falling behind guys and walking people. The Cubs just haven't made him pay.
Bounce to the shortstop, Descalso. Off balance throw to get Russell. Here's Fowler, 1 for 2. In the third. Fastball misses, ball 1. Thumped out toward deep left center. It's going to rest on the warning track. Fowler on his way to second with a double. He's 2 for 3. One-base streak extended to 12 games. And one of the hottest Cub hitters coming out of the break.
He's been swinging it well. Schwarber, Chris Coghlan has done a good bit of hitting. Most of the Cubs have struggled. Taking advantage of more at-bats from the right side of the plate here in recent weeks.
Steve Foster, the pitching coach. And it's now time for you to tweet your strongest fan photo. Use Northside Data's Strong Fan. You just might see yourself in an upcoming broadcast brought to you by T-Mobile. They're at second, 1 out for Kyle Schwarber. A jam shot pop up called in by Paulson. So adding up for Fowler, the 12-game on base streak, he's got 15 hits and 13 walks. So that's 28 times on base the last 12 games. And remember, he had the big single in the ninth, 2 batters ahead of the Bryant game-ending homer last night. Tap foul on the ground, 1-1. Lifted foul out of play off to the right.
Flande due up third in the top of the sixth. This is likely it for him. And Steve Foster, when he went out to talk to him, it looked like he was giving him a pretty good pep talk, basically saying, look, Walt's getting itchy over there. He's getting ready to take you out if you don't get this thing settled down here.
Latchman, the Cub coach.
Got about 60 years in the game.
Ball and 2 strikes on Bryant. Cubs have had runners in every inning against Flande.
52nd year in professional baseball for Rene Latchman.
Past Flande, but LeMahieu will pick it up, gets rid of it quickly, and he gets Chris Bryant. Cubs strand another runner. 5-1 Rockies.
Red line, you can ride your bike. There's a bike check at Clark and Addison. You can drive your car, and if you do that, there's free parking and shuttle service on night and weekend games. And that's located at 3900 North Rockwell. For details, and for all other kinds of really good information, check out Cubs.com.
Here's right-hander Justin Grimm. Got to give a thumbs up to Travis Wood. 3 2/3, 1 hit, 1 run.
Real good work by Wood here tonight. Grimm on for the second time in this series, a scoreless inning last night.
On the ground and through the hole as Hundley has a base hit. Well, the last time Travis pitched, we mentioned the drastic splits. He's been way better as a reliever than he was in, I think, 7 starts early in the season in the rotation. And Joe has really liked his work in the bullpen. The Cubs trying to find somebody to nail down that 5th starter spot. Would his performance tonight make you revisit that conversation, at least temporarily.
Yes, that's what I was talking about last half. I think you have to at least start to consider it. You just cycle through guys trying to find an answer there, unless you make a trade.
Right.
I still think that's probably the more likely course of action. But failing that, yeah, I think I'd be willing to revisit and give Travis a shot at it and see if he can build on the momentum that he's found working out of the pen.
Well, it's what he's most accustomed to doing, but again, he's been really good in the bullpen.
Yeah, and I think what happened when Joe told him he was going to the pen, he said, "Look, I want you to attack hitters, become more fastball centric," and we've seen a better velocity from him, a more aggressive approach with the fastball. So I guess my thinking is, can you take that approach back into the starter's role and find some success? And momentum is not the right word. I use the word momentum. I would say more confidence.
Well, Clayton Richard was DFA'd last week. Back in the organization, pitched at Iowa tonight, so he might be another possibility this next term. But
yeah, Wada's.
Tsuyoshi Wada pitched last night. Yep.
Apparently threw the ball pretty well. That's the other part of it. We're not seeing their minor league outing, so if Wada's throwing the ball real good and he looks sharp, he might get another shot at it.
It's a wild pitch, charged to Grimm.
The Grimm curveball, one of the toughest pitches to contain. I mean, you can block it, but it's such tight spin. He throws it hard and bounces out either just in front of home plate or right behind home plate. And that's a tough pitch for a catcher to control.
Popped up by Descalso. And it's Bryant. It's the first out. Former Cub Chris Russin in the on-deck circle, and now he'll be pulled back. Drew Stubbs will take the at-bat. This is for Flande. There's Chris Russin. Strike call.
Stubbs has power. He has speed. He strikes out a whole bunch. It's held him back. 207 hitter this year. 3 out of 8 as a pinch hitter with a home run. The Rockies have hit 4 pinch hit home runs.
Going on with the White Sox? They are pounding the Red Sox 9-2 in the bottom of the 9th, looking for their 6th straight win, all on the road. To sell or not to sell, right? That's the question. White Sox in the middle of the peloton there, 4.5 games out of the second wild card spot. The middle of the what?
Peloton. You know, like the Tour de France when all the bikes are.
Is that what they call it? I learned a new word. Swing and a miss. 2-2. I didn't know you were a biking guy.
I'm not really.
Cycling guy. You're just good with words.
Well, I used to like that the cycling on the track at the Olympics when they go real slow. It was kind of fun. And then they sprint at the end.
Right. He struck him out looking.
Little cheese at the knees from the Grim Reaper. Might have been off the outside corner. Cradled there by Schwarber. Good pitch. Second out.
By the way, Jose Bautista has tweeted, for those of you who actually care, it was just a cramp. I expect to be in there tomorrow. So you have it right.
Yeah, you can't
the source.
You can't be tweeting during a game.
I think the game's over.
Oh, the game's over. Okay. We could blow that story wide open.
Phillies won again, 3-2. So I think they're 9-1 since the break. Curve strike on Blackman.
No more Papelbon, so Ken Giles, the hard-throwing right-hander, finished it off, picked up his first save.
Well, they've won 5 in a row and 9 out of 10 since the All-Star break. In the 6th, Rockies got 4 runs in the very first inning. And lead this one 5-1. 1-1 pitch on the ground. Rizzo with glove. It's Grimm at the bag, and that's the inning. Cubs will bat in the 6th, trailing by 4.
Coverage from Chicago Bears Media Day. There you go. Training camp starts tomorrow for the Bears.
There's Gonzalez, German. Began the year with the Cubs.
Well, Flande teetered on the edge throughout his outing. Base runners in every inning. But he only allowed 1 run and turns it over to the bullpen with a comfortable lead.
Strike called on Rizzo. 0 for 2 against the lefty Flande.
Down 4, Anthony in the leadoff spot here, thinking about creating a little traffic, contemplates a bunt, but takes a strike.
By the way, when is National Flande?
Right after National Custard Day.
Forgot to ask you earlier. Flande, 5 innings, 4 hits, 1 run.
National Ice Cream Day was just
I
few
missed
days
it.
back, yeah. And we had National Hot Dog Day. We celebrated that.
Was
you got going
a
there?
Shot of somebody eating ice cream. Something that looks like ice cream. That's a good start.
Your man, much like Flande, he's got a comfortable lead, but going to irritate his manager with a leadoff walk here.
German, 6 appearances with the Cubs early in the campaign. Designated for assignment after he had been sent to the minors in May. Designated it in early July, and then the Rockies got him off waivers. Right-hander ready. And he'll throw over. Rizzo with a pretty short lead.
Edwin Jackson was officially released by the Cubs yesterday. He had been designated for assignment. He was in that 10-day window where the Cubs could try to trade him or another team could claim him. That passed. He was released.
Mayhew will pick it up. They get 1. That's it. Scalzo will hang on to it.
Softly hit, eliminated any real shot at the double play.
Norfia has grounded out twice to the shortstop. Would not be advisable to do that here. It might be 2. Low, ball 1. 95 from German. Baltimore a 7-3 winner over Atlanta. Ubaldo Jimenez, former Rocky, got his 8th win. He beat Julio Teheran.
It's the pitch that got us excited when we first saw German in spring training, a changeup.
Chris Davis hit 2 home runs, knocked in 5 for the Orioles. Descalzo will step on the bag, and they will turn it. So the unadvisable bouncer to short turns into a 6-3 double play. Including a Chicago area native, Eric Gehrig, a defender, went to Loyola, and born in Harvey, grew up at the high school in Northwest Indiana. Yep. And here at Wrigley Field. Welcome.
Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
So, Cub fan growing up?
Oh yeah, die hard. Love him.
Who's your guy?
I gotta say Anthony Rizzo.
Okay, that's a good choice.
Talk about a fundamentally sound baseball player.
You see, you should have been a baseball. You got a Gehrig? You should have been a baseball player.
I know. Parents signed me up for soccer, so it kind of took over my life. So
there's DJ LeMahieu to lead it off. 5-1. The Rockies lead. So you got to throw out the first pitch tonight too.
I did. I was nervous. They told me I had to go to the mound, which was fine. I'm not going to lie. I did some practice for probably a couple days. So.
Well, let's check it out.
Oh boy. Hey, we made the plate and we got a little. Oh, I like that. Yeah. He was cool. Nice guy. Dustin Green.
Yeah, he's a real good guy.
Looking here in the 7th inning.
So, you know, the other day we had a couple of gymnasts out there, former Olympians, and after they threw the pitch, they walked on their hands to home plate.
You know
so
what?
Maybe a little throw in with the flip, you know, next time.
Yeah, I heard that they did that, so I figured that's why I threw that little dance at the end.
I was
tried
trying to hang with them.
Yeah, I never was able to do the throw and flip thing. So
1-1 on LeMahieu. So you've got a match coming up this weekend, right?
Sunday night. Yeah, national television, Fox Sports 1. So FC Dallas, really good team. They're on fire.
FC Dallas at 6 o'clock.
Yep.
Home game?
Home game. Big game for us. So.
How are you guys drawing?
Yeah, we're doing all right. Crowd's been great. Can't blame them. It's been a trying season. A lot of injuries. A lot of guys missing through international games and stuff. So they've hung with us, though. So it means a lot to us and the guys. And, you know, we're right there in it as much as everything's gone not our way. So we're excited about our game on Sunday.
Toyota Park, 71st in Harlem. Opened 2006. 2-2 on the way, and LeMahieu strikes out.
Love that.
All right, so you're the gymnast we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, I can't compete with that.
Yeah. And then Sean Johnson, she got engaged shortly thereafter.
Oh, shoot. There's E.G. Whoa. Yeah, Kennedy. Kennedy's pretty athletic. Do some flips. I just do the hugs, you know?
Just pick them up.
I just keep it simple, yeah.
We got a pitching change here. It's a Weber's Sauces and Seasonings call to the pen. Why grill with anything else? We'll be back. Seasonings call to the pen. Here's southpaw James Russell against Carlos Gonzalez, who has walked, bounced into a fielder's choice, and struck out tonight.
ERA at 3 now for James Russell, trending in the wrong direction in recent outings. He's allowed runs in 3 of his last 4 appearances, so he's looking to get things turned around. The bullpen so far tonight has been very good. Travis Wood 3 2/3, 1 run, punched out 6. Justin Grimm in his inning and a third allowed a hit, no runs.
And with Eric Gehrig, defender with the Chicago Fire, he'll be joined by a couple of teammates for the stretch, Michael Stevens and Chris Ritter. How did those guys get the honor tonight? You were in no matter what, but did you get to choose? Were you the captain tonight?
No, those are good guys though. They're Chicago guys, hometown guys, so I know it means a lot to them to be out here. So couldn't have a better 2 by my side tonight.
So how many Chicago guys do you have on the team?
Yeah, we got a decent amount. Us 3, I would say about 2 or 3 or 4 more. So it's nice being a part of your hometown club.
Oh, man.
A lot of us guys have been around over the years when they started in '98. When they won the title, so it means a little extra to us. So
comes the 0-2 from Russell. It's upstairs 1-2.
Yeah, I'm kind of naive on this whole thing. So how does it work? Is there a draft? I mean, you just
there's an MLS draft. Some guys are picked from that. Some guys are unsigned free agents, undrafted free agents like myself 6 years ago. A couple guys are homegrown academy guys that grew up in the Chicago Fire youth system.
So they have a youth system and they have the rights to those players as they come up?
Absolutely. Now that the years have passed, they've become more and more apparent, whether the Fire and all the other clubs. So the Chicago Fire Academy is one of the more prominent clubs and produced a lot of great players. So
I think it would be good for the growth of the sport, too, if there's local guys involved with the clubs. In terms of fan interest, it probably makes sense to have.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, like I said, it means more to the guys. I shouldn't say it means more, but it's a little extra incentive when you're from here and you've seen the club go through its history and the course it's gone through. It means a lot to the guys, so it's pretty cool.
There's Arenado with 2 outs. And we should point out the Chicago Sting of the North American Soccer League once made Wrigley Field its home.
Yeah, those are the legends back in the day.
Way back when.
Pretty cool to play out here, I'll tell you that.
0-1 on Arenado, the All-Star. And the ground is short.
Starlin.
And here we go, stretch time with the Fire.
Tonight's guest conductors for Take Me Out to the Ball Game, Chicago Fire soccer teammates Eric Gehrig, Michael Stevens, and Chris Ritter.
All right, Cub fans, let me hear ya. A 1, a 2, a 3. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks. I don't care if I ever get back for its root for the Cubbies. If they don't win, it's a shame. For it's 1,
5-1 Rockies. Unfortunately, the first inning has been pretty much everything. 4 batters in, it was 3-0. And the first 4 hitters of the ball game eventually scored. Chris Coghlan on deck in the pitcher spot behind Castro. And here's the 0-1. Right back to German. Coghlan. So we are efforting video of crazy play in Boston. Jose Abreu had a 2-run homer against the Red Sox to right. Mookie Betts actually made a catch, but he tumbled over the fence and into the bullpen. Landed on his head and neck area. So I guess he's being looked at for possible concussion. Wild play. Red Sox won that game 9-4. Here's a pitch. It's outside. 2-1.
Perhaps the last start in a Cincinnati uniform for Mike Leake, and 8 shutouts so far tonight for Leake over the Cardinals. The 3-0 Cincinnati lead. Joey Votto hit his 19th home run. He also doubled. Jaime Garcia back pitching for the Cardinals tonight. He allowed 3 in 6 innings.
Javi Baez has 2 home runs tonight for Iowa. And that ball cranked to deep right center. Way back there. It's gone. Chris Coghlan off the bench makes it 5-2.
Chris knew it as soon as he hit it. A no-doubter for Coghlan. Ford home run replay. That pitch right down the chute. And a pretty stroke by Coghlan. That's number 11 for him.
And everyone he hits a new career high. Steve Foster out.
I may have mentioned this earlier. The Rockies bullpen has not been very good this year. They have the highest ERA. And again, that's certainly influenced by the light air up in Denver. But you feel like you can come back against this club.
Tap foul. Russell.
Cubs have had a hard time getting the ball airborne today. That was the scouting report on Flande, an extreme ground ball pitcher, and we got a whole bunch of them. Just one outfield putout this ball game. Bryant's deep drive to center in the 3rd.
2 balls, 2 strikes. So let me ask you a question.
Okay.
So we see Rondon and Soriano up. So the Nationals get Jonathan Papelbon, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I just saw on Twitter a couple of comments from Drew Storen. Doesn't sound like he's too thrilled.
I wouldn't think.
Storen's got a 1.73 ERA and 29 saves. If you're Mike Rizzo or Matt Williams, people in charge there, do you tell Storen before you make the deal, we're going to do this and this is how it's got to go? Because part of this deal was Papelbon's got to pitch the ninth, right?
Yeah, well,
the way he would do it.
Well, yeah, but I don't know. I don't know how you do that as a club. I don't know how you make that promise to Papelbon. You know, you could say we're going to give you a shot at closing games, but I don't know if I'm the Nationals that I could make that commitment to Papelbon. I think that's absurd. And of course, Papelbon, because he's got an incentive that kicks in for games finished.
He wants to pitch, those final 3 outs.
Yeah, because he's got 13 million reasons to finish ball games. 16 million, whatever his option is, kicks in, and it's based on finishing X number of games. Yeah, that's dicey, man. That could really create an issue in the clubhouse.
Keep an eye on that. Meantime, good grinding at bat here from Addison Russell. The kick, the pitch. It's full, 3-2.
And I think, it may be a thing where Matt Williams goes to Storen and says, look, I understand you're upset here. Here's what we're trying to accomplish. We feel like we've got a team that can go the whole way. We're just trying to add depth to our bullpen. This is what it took us to get Papelbon here. We haven't lost confidence in you. Let the guy vent. Let him be mad for a few days and hope his better nature comes around. He says, all right, I'll just go out and compete and do what I need to do.
Into right. Addison Russell is on.
A couple ground balls to the left side, and now he shoots this one the other way. And boy, that's a tough pitch. Down and away. He's trying to simplify his approach at the plate. Just to have that toe tap thing working. He's closed up his stance a little bit.
Yeah, Mike Rizzo, the quote today, Papelbon is our ninth inning pitcher. His option for next year now becomes guaranteed at $11 million. With
just
the
because
trade,
he got traded. Yeah,
some of the money will be deferred. Base hit. Russell will stop at second. No need in testing Cargo here down 3. Another hit for Fowler, his third tonight.
2 from the right side. Now is a left-handed hitter. Solid contact for Fowler. And Walt Weiss is going to go get his left-hander.
Weber's sauces and seasonings call to the pen. The Cubs threatening the tying run will be at the plate when we come back.
used and autographed Cubs memorabilia. Visit Cubs.com/authentics for more information and to bid on weekly auction items, including game-used baseballs, jerseys, bases, and so much more. The Cubs will donate net proceeds from the sale of Cubs Authentics to Cubs charities.
Weber sauces and seasonings called to the pen. Here's left-hander Boone Logan.
Logan 0-2 with a 5. Works for the 42nd time. You see he's been able to really suppress left-handed hitters, hitting just a .188 against them. That's what he's got here in Kyle Schwarber. Kyle 0 for 2, walked and scored back in the first. Fastballs and sliders from Logan.
We've got Russell at second. Fowler's at first. A run in on the pinch hit homer from Coghlan. Swing and a miss. And a slider. Logan got a 3-year deal with the Rockies before last year. Ended up on the DL 4 different times. 2014.
White Sox, Braves, and Yankees before becoming a Rocky.
From San Antonio, Texas, went to Temple College. And a slider strike. It's 1-2. On the ground, Arenado will tag Russell. Fielder's choice for Schwarber.
And he wasn't going to get 2, so he settles on the tag play with Russell, who was right in front of him.
This is where the lefty-righty comes into play. Normally you'd see a right-hander come in here to face Bryant, but you've got Rizzo then on deck. So Walt Weiss
going
to stick with Logan.
It's a dangerous situation, and Weiss, because of the call-ups, he's got extra arms out there. He does have 3 left-handers.
Ball 1, and we want to welcome those viewers who just watched the White Sox-Red Sox game at Fenway. White Sox another win. The Cubs trying to come back here late. Rockies lead them 5-2.
That's what we don't know is who may not be available for Walt Weiss here tonight. He may be a guy short. Canely threw a lot of pitches in the game last night, so he might not be available.
And they did add those 2 guys, Miller and Laffey.
If you identify this as the situation where this game might get away from you, you probably go righty here and then have another lefty ready for Riz.
Or, considering his success against lefties, you just stick with a righty if you don't get Bryant. Yeah, big spot for sure. Tying run at the plate. The guy who won the game with a home run last night. Lined, caught by Descalso. Filling in after the Tulowitzki trade, Descalso with a well-timed leap, and he just stole away an RBI hit from Chris Bryant to end the inning. To short. Castro's out of the game because Coughlin, after connecting on a pinch hit home run, will play second. Remember, he originally was a minor league infielder. And here's struggling Rafael Soriano, trying to find his sea legs here with the Cubs. He's given up a couple of big home runs.
One each in his last 2 appearances. Reports on his work down in the minor leagues was good. Got a ton of experience. Stuff just hasn't looked real crisp so far. Fastball, and he'll cut a fastball and also throws a slider.
Dickerson takes a breaking ball for a strike.
Well, first pitch was a curveball. We haven't seen that from him yet.
Pulled to right, and a fair ball. And a 2-base hit to start the 8th.
Another extra base hit for the Rockies. This thing is chest high. He's able to clear that front side, whack it into the right field corner. We've talked about Dickerson, how good he is going the other way. This time he pulls one into the right field corner.
Olsen 1 out of 7 in the series after a career game on Sunday. Base hit. Dickerson held up to make sure the liner got through, but he'll still score easily. 6-2.
Cubs running out of outs. Can ill afford to give up more, but indeed they do. Just like I said, the finish on Soriano's pitch is just not crisp. He's making mistakes out over the plate.
So third straight appearance in which he's given up a run. Low and outside to Hundley. Runner goes and a foul.
Soriano 6'4", 230, 35 years of age.
One and two.
Last year he had an 0.97 ERA in the first half. After the All-Star break, a 6.48 earned run average. Batting average against jumped from 153 to 299.
Full count, 3-2. Double single to start the inning. Deep left. And on the move, Denorfia's got it. Olsen was running with the pitch, but he's able to get back to first in plenty of time. Time now for our Xfinity high-speed action. This was a big play. Cubs rallying here in the bottom of the seventh after scoring one, trying to get more, and Daniel Descalso. Excellent leaping grab.
We don't need no stinking Tulo. Tulo probably wouldn't have had to jump for that one.
Yeah, he's a little taller, isn't he? Moving again and a foul. Will be fair. Somehow he kept it fair. Paulson being sent. Might be a play. Throw to the plate. Gets past Schwarber. Descalso all the way to third. 7-2.
Yet another double. Well, that's been the big difference in this game. The Rockies banging out a bunch of extra base hits. And normally off the left-handed hitter, you see a ball hit like that, it's going to have a lot of slicing action and almost invariably go foul, but not this time. With a little hesitation, ends up being a little closer at home plate. Schwarber not able to handle that throw. Soriano not there to back up. You see he's standing out in front of home plate. You got to be backing up on that.
Infield in, runner at third. Brandon Barnes.
A couple more hits away from another David Ross appearance, perhaps.
Right now, the bullpen is quiet. And yeah, you're already going to have to cover the ninth. Two and one. This game is really slowed down here in the eighth. 3 hits for the Rockies off Rafael Soriano. It's number 18 of the inning. And it's a strike, and it's 2-2. Yankees now lead Texas 19-5 in the 6th. Astros 10-5 over the Angels, bottom 6. That's a big AL West matchup.
That's pretty tight. What's the
Angels 1 game ahead of Houston.
So I wonder what position player will pitch for the Rangers tonight.
And it feels like it's inevitable. They're only in the 6th inning. Wow, you ready for this? Martin Perez and Wandy Rodriguez, they combined to make 99 pitches in the first 2 innings.
Just pulled up the box score.
You ever heard of that?
15 runs combined in 2 innings of work. Perez gave up 8, Rodriguez 7.
Basically 100 pitches in 2 innings. 2-2 to Barnes. Popped him up. This will be out number 2 as near the bag. Bryant's got it.
Well, Chris Capuano in 2/3 of an inning allowed 5. So 3 pitchers, 2 2/3 combined, 20 runs allowed. Chris Young having a big night. 3 for 4, 5 driven in.
Strike to Blackman. Tigers got blasted at Tampa Bay 10-2. 2 homers for Kurt Casale. David Price took the loss.
Cubs 2.5 games behind the Giants for the second wild card spot. San Francisco's at home for the Brewers. Early, top of the 3rd. Milwaukee leads 2-0. San Francisco has won 12 of their last 13, and 6 in a row.
I believe Willie Peralta returning from the DL tonight for the Brewers.
Peralta and Kane.
Fisted and a little soft liner to Bryant to end the inning. 2 runs in. It's 7-2 Rockies late. Selected the Data Strong fan photo of the game. Tweet your strongest fan photo to hashtag Northside Data Strong Fan. You just might see yourself in an upcoming broadcast brought to you by T-Mobile. Barnes stays in, plays left. Justin Miller, right-hander.
Cup of coffee with the Tigers last year. Eight games for them, all in relief.
Jason Mott. Fouled back, 1-2. Way up in the air. DJ LeMahieu. Hosmer beat the Indians 2-1. Ninth inning homer. The Royals are 23 above 500. First time since 1989. Cleveland has lost 6 in a row. 8 in a row at home for the first time since 1975, probably when they wore those all red uniforms.
The Dwayne Kuiper model.
By the way, the Tigers with that loss and the White Sox win, Detroit has dropped to 4th place in the AL Central. 0-2 now on Soler.
Yeah, these moves that the Royals have made lately, everybody's talking about, well, these are just, they're going to win the division and no issues there. It's just about having the best postseason team possible. That was the thinking when Billy Beane made his moves last year. And didn't quite work out for the A's. I mean, the Royals are in a very enviable position, a comfortable lead right now, but anything can happen. Well, not anything, but a lot of different things.
Check swing, line out. And 2 gone here in the 8th. Now Denorfia. Well, how about some good news? Double-A Tennessee with a win in Montgomery, Alabama over the Biscuits. 8-0. Albert Almora homered. Wilson Contreras hit a grand slam. And Iowa with a 9-0 win over Nashville on the road. Javier Baez, as we mentioned, 2 homers in his return from the DL. For Clayton Richard, that was his Iowa Cubs debut, 7 shutout innings. One ball, 1 strike. We're from Bakersfield, California. Just back from the minors. Ooh, that's a good breaking ball.
Slide piece there.
Yeah, 1-2.
Watch him come set. Who is that? He's mimicking somebody.
Okay.
You see that grip, slide ball, off center, powers through it. Watch. Somebody on Twitter will get it.
What you got?
Nobody. I mean,
oh, you're asking.
No, yeah, I'm
it's
asking.
A little Papelbonish. What I was thinking, actually.
He's going to swing the way he swings his arms.
7-2 as we go to the 9th. The Cubs' upcoming schedule. Day game tomorrow, getaway day. And then the Cubs hit the road. 4 in Milwaukee. 7 o'clock here on CSN Thursday evening. Then off to Pittsburgh for the Cubs return home to play the San Francisco Giants, last year's World Series champions. Jason Mott in a low leverage spot.
23 pitches in the ball game last night. 3 hits, 3 runs, including the Descalso home run. Did not record an out.
The 0-1 to LeMahieu.
Cutter. A game like this for a guy like Mott, who's usually pitching in high leverage situations, a chance to take a bit of a breather, mix up his pitches a little bit. I mean, he's basically a 2-pitch guy, fastball, cutter.
A little light malfunction. I think everything came back on. Just a little blip.
A little flicker.
I heard it. Can you hear a little buzz?
A couple bulbs out. Climb up there and change those with the ladder.
Clark Griswold to take care of it. Guess what? DJ LeMahieu's got another hit. 3 again tonight. All right, watch this play. It ended up being called a home run after replay review. It's Mookie Betts.
We've seen a number of acrobatic plays over that wall in Fenway. He leaves his feet to try to cushion the blow a little bit, and in so doing, ends up flipping over the wall.
So hopefully he's all right. Yeah, so the ball came out of Betts' glove when he did hit the ground in the bullpen. So he did not complete the process. Essentially, he carried that ball over the wall to make it a home run. Coughlin the catch.
So if he hangs on to the ball in the bullpen,
I think it's a catch.
Yeah. But it's like if you're making a catch, you take a step or two and run into a wall and drop the ball, or you hit the ground and the ball comes out. It's in play, and when in play happens over the wall, it's a home run. See, if I were him, I would argue for the football interpretation. Look, I got both feet down. Should be a good catch. This is the night you have to remember, the kind of game you remember when somebody tries to make the case after a dramatic win that's what motivate us and spurred us on to go on to that great run. You remember it when you win a dramatic game like that and then you win 4 in a row after it. But when you win a dramatic game like the Cubs did last night and come back and have a clunker the next night, you tend to forget that. Yep.
Fifth starter spot an issue. Bullpen going through a tough stretch here.
But bullpens, they tend to run hot and cold. Every club has issues with it. Just about every club does. And even, Kansas City, their bullpen is such a big part of their team, big part of the success last year, again this year. But you wonder if those guys are going to start to fatigue because they pitch a lot of innings, and that's why the Cueto acquisition is so important for them, just to eat up more innings.
Mayhew goes on the 3-2. They'll stay out of the double play. Arenado thrown out by Bryant. It's Aaron Laffey, a left-hander.
Rockies scored 17 in their game Sunday against the Reds at home. Came in here last night, scored 8, 7 more here tonight. 10 hits, a bunch of extra base hits. So that's what lies ahead for John Lester tomorrow. He's going to try to cool off these hot bats on what figures to be a very uncomfortable day in the heat tomorrow afternoon.
Miller is 0 for 1 with a strikeout in his major league career. And that was very important information. 0-2 on him.
I'm kind of digging the video board in left field with the battling beards with Miller and Mott's mugs both up there.
Swing and a miss, and we'll go to the bottom of the ninth. 7-2 Rockies. Tough go for Starlin Castro here recently, and he got removed as part of a double switch, even though he hadn't at that time made the last out. In fact, his spot coming up here, pitcher's spot. And I just think, JD, with the team trailing and where everything was, Joe wanted to keep Coughlin in the game, moved Russell to short. we're getting to the point now where you might see Starling come out of a game with another at bat to go, because you got to get some offense going here.
Yeah, I mean, there was encouraging signs last night. I hope to see more of it tonight. I mean, and you know, one good game last night doesn't tell the story, nor does one bad game tonight. But just the approach, the swings last night looked pretty good, and tonight it was, back to what we've seen for most of the season. Yeah, there's some tough decisions coming as the Cubs try to claim this second wild card spot. Javi Baez getting healthy, back in action. A couple of home runs tonight at Iowa. He's knocking on the door.
Switch hitting Jonathan Herrera.
I think a lot of times, early in the year, a manager will make his decisions first based on projections, what you thought coming into the season.
Right.
And you live with that for a long time. Say, we expect this guy to be able to produce for us at this level. And even though he's not doing it, we believe he can, and we continue to run him out there. And I'm not focusing on Starling, I'm just talking about in general any player. Same with your bullpen pieces, guys in your rotation. But at some point, as you get later into the season, you say, okay, what is my best chance to win the game tonight? That has to be the focus, not so much about how we're going to get player X, Y, or Z going. How am I going to win the game tonight?
Swing and a miss on a pretty good fastball from Miller. Bring up Coughlin. Barnes with the catch, 2 outs. It's down to their final chance here, and it's Addison Russell.
The Coughlin home run off the bench in the 7th, the only run the Rockies bullpen has allowed here tonight.
People asking about Neil Ramirez. He's just not all the way back in terms of the stuff just yet. Such an intriguing guy going into the year. 50 appearances last year for Ramirez, a 144. The shoulder issues this season. And there is a point with a bullpen where you kind of have to go with what you got, and you hope much of it gets locked in, if not all of it, as you get into these final couple of months and some roles start to define themselves a bit more. 1-1 to Russell, 1-2. Cap and Holly getting set for post-game live.
Take the coats off, fellas.
Miller's 1-2. Swing and a miss, and that'll do it. So the Rockies got 4 runs in the first inning. Pull away late, beat the Cubs. Final score tonight, Rockies 7, Cubs 2. That'll set up a rubber game tomorrow.
Cubs had a lot of chances against Flande. A lot of base runners, just couldn't really come through with a big hit. Most of their hits were singles. We got a lot of ground ball outs. And the Rockies able to pad the lead late. So no dramatics here tonight. They'll try it again tomorrow afternoon.
Johan Flande gets his first major league win. And our Binny's Beverage Depot toast of the game. Well, he's had a big season series against his original team, DJ LeMahieu, the All-Star.
Yeah, boy, one good at-bat after another against the Cubs this year, and he's had a lot of them against a lot of teams. He was an All-Star, Gold Glover last year, and one of a number of very hot hitters in this Rocky lineup right now.
So for JD and our entire crew, Len Casper here at Wrigley Field, inviting you to stay tuned. We've got more to come. Final score, Rockies 7, Cubs 2. We're back with you on CSN Thursday night, 7 o'clock. It's the Cubs and the Brewers from Miller Park in Milwaukee. Right around the corner, Blue Cross Blue Shield Cubs post-game live. Stay tuned.